Hello, everybody. My guest today is RJ Friedlander. He's an entrepreneur and investor based in Barcelona. He's the founder and CEO of a company called ReviewPro, the world leader in guest intelligence for the hotel industry. Focusing on hotel tech, the guest experience, or entrepreneurship, he's spoken at more than 100 events worldwide, from prominent industry conferences to annual strategy meetings of renowned hotel brands. An enthusiastic and natural storyteller, his compelling presentations explore the latest trends and technical innovations, impacting reputation and enabling savvy hoteliers to gain a competitive advantage. RJ, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. You mentioned renowned hotel brands. I'm curious, which brand annual strategy meeting did you present at that we would all know?
Well, brands like, if you're European based, for those of you that are on this side of the pond, brands like Kempinski, Amman Resorts, large brands like Radisson. So today we work with 43,000 brands across the globe and from all different segments.
For ReviewPro?
For ReviewPro, absolutely.
And just, are those 43,000, those are all paying, or are they on like a free plan?
No, those are all paying clients. So we have everything as a B2B SaaS product, right? And so we have clients that pay us for our tools. So there are a number of we have 4 different tools. And then we also sell data to destinations. So on the tool side, there's it'd be about 35,000 hotels that pay us a monthly SaaS fee for one or all of our and then we have the balance of 10,000 pay us for our data.
That's interesting. And that data thing really is what, more like a one-time productized service every now and then?
No, it would be, for example, like in the UK, the Automobile Association of the UK uses our data. In that case, it's 5,000 hotels as a part of their national star rating system. So no, it would be through our API and ongoing feed where they're using our data as a part, and combining that with other data sets.
I see. When you look at your historical revenue over the past 12 months, what percent was based on the data feed versus the 35,000 hotels actually paying you?
Everybody's paying us for data. So 100% of our revenue comes from B2B SaaS for data. On the tool side, so they're using our data through our dashboard, and they have access to our analytics and our reports. That would be, in terms of revenue, would be like 95% or over 90%.
I see. Okay, great. And RJ, I mean, what got you, this is a very fascinating space with the advent of kind of Airbnb, but people still craving hyper curated experiences. What got you into this space in the first place?
Well, I was previously CEO of digital media for the largest media company in Spain. And that was back in the old days before, right when user-generated content was kicking off. It started an obsession with photography and using Flickr. Early on, I really saw and felt that there was this unstoppable force of user-generated content. I always liked B2B business models, personally more so than B2C. I like aggregation business models where you're taking data and you're adding value because of the insight you can drive through quantitative and qualitative analytics. And so really, ReviewPro was born out of that original interest and obsession with user-generated content and sort of a reverse engineering of where would there be an opportunity and where could we grow a great business.
And when did you launch the company? What year?
So we started coding in January of 2008. We signed our first paying client in September 2009. But also ReviewPro is an interesting story from a capital standpoint. I funded the company for a year and a half. We raised a total of 5 million euros in equity, which to build a global SaaS business model where we work with, as we said, 45,000 hotels, 150 countries. We support the product and account management in 7 languages. To have built all that on only 5 million was a bit of an achievement.
And RJ, how much did you put in personally?
Of the 5 million, I put in much less than others.
So sorry. What you put in to fund it for the first 12 months, that's included in the 5 million, not on top of.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, the total. Yeah, exactly. Total funding of about 5 million.
I see. No, that is fantastic. So help me understand, launched in 2008, you're scaling up today. What's the team size today? How many people?
Today we're about 110 people globally. The majority are in our Barcelona headquarters. And then we have people in the US, Singapore, and Eastern Europe.
That's great. And then I want to kind of dive into maybe a unique kind of customer story. I'm sure you have, many different customers. You already articulated there's 2 types, one that's a data play, one that's kind of directly using via your interface. Help me understand though, on average, what's a customer paying per year for this sort of thing?
Well, again, we have 4 products. We have the online reputation. We have surveys, both in-stay and post-stay. Then we have the ability for our clients to assign tasks and basically have a case management system. And that's all wrapped up in a guest messaging hub, so they can communicate both pre-stay and during stay. So again, it depends on what the mix of the product suite is, but to give you an idea, this year we'll do over $15 million in revenue.
50 or 15?
15.
Okay, great. So 15 million. If I obviously divide that by 12, that puts you at, I think, about 1.2 million per month, right? And then divide 45,000 customers into that. Each one's paying $20-$30 per month. Is that right?
No, the math doesn't really work out that way, because the data on a per unit basis is much less. So no, the math isn't.
So what is the 45,000 though? Is that brands or locations of the hotels?
No, that would be individual hotels. So for example, we work with Radisson globally. That's our largest brand. So Radisson Hotel Group has multiple brands. All of those hotels worldwide use our online reputation, our surveys, our case management. And
so how many logos, RJ, then do you work with?
Brands. We don't look at the business that way, but it would be hundreds and hundreds.
Okay. No, what I'm trying to get a sense of is about how many locations per logo you're working with do you average? And that helps me get a sense of what size of brands you're working with.
Yeah, but we work across all segments. So for example, our smallest client is a hotel that has 7 rooms. They have one property. It's an independent property with 7 rooms. And our biggest client, as I said, is Radisson, that has 1,300 properties globally. So that was one of our successes as a SaaS company, is we were able to build a product that was relevant for all segments, and that we were able to build a customer acquisition strategy built around content. And we were able to drive leads and volume across all segments. And then while we also, and obviously do face-to-face sales, a large part of our sales are done over the telephone and remotely. So that was what allowed us to scale the business. I sold the company about 2 years ago to the largest hotel technology company in the world. It's called Shiji. When we sold the company, we had 62 full-time employees, right? And so we've grown the business and the team significantly since the acquisition. But we were a very, very optimized company that was very capital efficient in our ability to build a great product and scale the business.
And the reported price on that was $35 million. Is that accurate?
Well, they acquired 80% initially, and the price was higher than that.
Okay. So yeah, the reporting, diving deeper on that, they said they paid about $28 million to take about a 79% stake in the company, which would value the company at $35 million at that point. Are those numbers wrong?
That's pretty close.
Pretty close. Okay. And so here's my question to you. It's very, I run a very small private equity firm, and one of the difficult things is once you make somebody rich, it's very hard to retain them. So why are you still at the company?
Right. Well, first of all, I love the business, and I love the team and the product and our clients. And when Shiji acquired us, we had just launched 2 of the products I mentioned. We just launched 2. So they acquired us at a point where, I live in Barcelona, so to use football terms, it felt like halftime, right? There was still a lot of work to be done. As a CEO, as a person emotionally and professionally vested in this company. So a lot of the motivation came from that, the fact that there was still a lot to do. Secondly, when Shiji acquired the company, or 80% of the company, they gave us, they invested into the balance sheet. So all of a sudden we had more capital to scale the business than we'd had to get it to that point, right? So we had more resources after being bootstrapped for so long. Thirdly, that 20%, I have a significant part of that 20% and an agreement to stay with them and for them to acquire the rest of the shares over 3 years. So two years has passed. We're on track to, by the end of next year, to more than double the size of the company. So there was a motivation emotionally, lots of work to be done, and then there was also an interesting and motivating incentive economically to continue growing the business as we've done.
So RJ, just to be clear, that $28 million that Shiji paid, that all went to the balance sheet, meaning none of that was secondary. You took no money off the table?
No, not at all. So what happened was our original investors, which were individual investors and some well-known entrepreneurs, and then also a small venture capital fund. They earlier on, they all exited with between a 2.5 and a 28 time return. So all of our original investors left, and they were paid out. And then there was an additional investment into the balance sheet. So no, the 28 million was not all into the balance sheet. There was secondary plus investment for growth.
I see. And help me understand growth today. If you're doing, call it 15 million run rate today, what were you at about a year ago?
Well, last year, probably you do math quicker than I do. And in 2017, we grew 36, almost 37%. This year, we're over 30% growth, and we're expecting strong growth next year as well.
That's great. Okay. Yeah. So 30% growth. I mean, that puts you at about something around like 980 grand a month back about a year ago, something like that. Sound about right?
If you say so. These are details.
Yeah. 30% though, 30% year over year is what you've hit. Walk me through where most of that growth is coming.
In 17, we grew 37.
Okay. And where's most of the growth coming from? Is it coming from selling additional modules to the same brands or adding new brands entirely?
Well, what happened was it's a combination. Today, our core product, or the backbone of our product suite, is the online reputation. Most hotel brands have a product there. So our growth is coming from stealing or acquiring brands that are using different products. So that's a part of the growth.
I like stealing way better. It sounds way more aggressive. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. We like to steal clients.
So churn's critical, RJ, in this business. How do you analyze your churn, and what is it today?
Yeah, we have a phenomenal success rate there. Our churn rate is less than 10%. So
that's less than 10% revenue churn per year.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And so this is one of the reasons we were able to grow, is because we always focused on data, the product, and the proposition to clients. Myself and the other two founders, we didn't come from the hotel industry, so we didn't have the hubris or arrogance to think we knew what our clients needed. We were really good curators of listening to what they said they needed, and then actually developing the right product for the market based on those inputs. And by that focus on data, that focus on value proposition, really listening and developing the right product, it allowed us to have a really exceptionally high renewal rate.
Yeah. So we talked about less than 10% revenue churn per year. So that's obviously on a gross basis, I imagine. When you add back expansion revenue, do you go over 100% net revenue retention on the cohort?
Yeah. So actually, I can't answer that question.
Why?
No, because I don't have the data exactly where it is. Because what happens is the way that we track our, and we don't really work on a cohort, analyzing monthly cohorts. What we do is we look at brands. Oftentimes what happens is brands will acquire other brands. They'll retract. So a hotel brand, especially the medium and even more so the large ones, have a lot of inflow and outflow. And so what we measure first and foremost is our client retention. So on a brand level. And then what we look to do is we look to grow our products, sell additional products to existing clients, and then also obviously add new brands. So your question, we have, I would say, detailed, comprehensive metrics, but we don't measure the business exactly how you explained. So
that makes sense. I guess, what metric do you use to understand how effective your sales team is in getting customers to adopt new modules?
Yeah, exactly. So, in our KPIs, what we measure is, first of all, every month, obviously, we're tracking monthly, which is new MRR and which is renewal MRR. Within the details of the KPIs, we're looking at if we acquire in new MRR, we have targets and goals for the average number of new products. We have goals for upselling. So in our KPIs, we're tracking all of that, and then our chief revenue officer, when he's managing his team and working with our sales directors and our sales managers around the world, what they're looking is to identify where there's shortfalls in each of those metrics, and focusing on improving where improvement needs to be made. But yeah, we are tracking kind of every step along, the conversion path, from number of leads to leads to qualified leads, qualified leads, qualified demos, conversion rate. So I would say that we have a fairly sophisticated set of KPIs, and we've got a great head of sales who's managing that and putting pressure and working to improve where need be.
RJ, last economics question here, because we're out of time. In terms of aggressiveness on acquiring new brands or logos, what are you willing to spend in terms of payback period? Will you spend 12 months, 24 months?
Yeah, again, those are metrics that I know a lot of companies work that way, but we don't. It's not exactly how we do it. So what we do is each of those products I mentioned, or each of those modules, has call it a rack rate or a list price, right? And then we give discounts based on the number of hotels, the contract length, and we give a premium or a discount for prepayment, right?
Okay.
So what happens is, with such a large client base, what we do is our willingness to discount is really based on benchmarking of other clients that have similar size properties. And so what we do is we try to stay within the guidelines of other clients we have of similar characteristics.
Yeah, but all that, RJ, boys, if you have a sophisticated sales team, you have to understand fully weighted CAC. Because there's commissions there's how to get the lead, there's the SDR to AE ratios, there's the customer success person onboarding and upselling over the first year. Did you have any barometers in terms of customer acquisition costs?
We do, but those things I can't share the details of, the specific customer acquisition costs. Because as I said before, what we do is, our approach was very different than in our comp set. It's very much driven off content marketing and our ability to manage remote sales for medium and large brands. So I get that, RJ. I totally get that, RJ. I get the content. I get all that, but there's still a fully weighted CAC. So if you don't want to share the specific number, let me give you a hypothetical. If a brand's going to be worth a $10,000 contract for you over the first year, would you be willing to spend up to $10,000 to get that customer? Well, in the market that we're in today, it's not necessary for us to do that. Our return is. So you think you can spend $5,000 to get a $10,000 customer? If I would be willing to spend $5,000 to get a customer, because our average customer, our contracts are between, a minimum is 1 year. We don't go month to month, right?
That's fine.
The shortest contract period is 12 months. Our average contract period is about 26, 27 months, right? So again, to invest $5,000 to sign up one of those clients, of course, that'd be great business. Well, yeah, but not any client though. See, payback period's a ratio, right? So let's say you pay your salespeople a 10% commission on a 2-year, $200,000 contract, right? That means you're willing to spend today $20,000 to get a $200,000 contract, just the sales commission. But then you also have the SDRs that set up the demo. You have any paid stuff, the conference you spoke at to get the lead, all that stuff. I'm just trying to get a sense of payback period ratio you're comfortable with. Yeah. To be honest with you, the way that we're measuring it's a little bit different. So I can't give you an exact number. That's fine. What I can say is that again, if you look at our marketing, the percentage that we spend on marketing every year the percentage of marketing and sales below industry benchmarks. If you look at what we pay per qualified lead. These numbers relative to our average contract size are very, very small. Also, what happens, we're in a market because there's a finite market to what we're doing, right? So it's not a market where if I'm really much more aggressive, I can grow the market significantly, right? I think that there's certain constraints by the size of the hotel market and the segments. And so we manage our business, we manage our business, our expenses, and what we're willing to spend probably you might say in a way that's a little less sophisticated than some of the people you're interviewing. Yeah, it's fine. It's not necessarily about sophistication, but even if let's say if you define a market, there's only 100,000 brands to sign up. In a world where ideally the brand that can spend the most wins, you actually really have to understand CAC and lifetime value so that you understand if your economics can support a higher CAC to win the customer in the first place. So we can come back to that. I think we beat that to death. So and we're out of time. So let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book? My favorite business book, one that I just read recently that I enjoyed a lot for the personal side was Shoe Dogs. It's a good one. So I don't know if it's... Number 2, RJ, what's your favorite tool for building your company? Well, I would say right now. Wait, let me think about this. Can you ask the question? Give me a thought.
Yeah. What's your favorite tool for building the company?
Well, I would say the tool that's most integrated in our business is Salesforce.
Okay. Number 3, name a under the radar CEO that you're following or studying.
And under the radar. I should ask for these questions ahead of time. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it's okay. Just not Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. Someone you meet with in Barcelona because they're another CEO you respect.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, Glenn, the CEO of such a huge company and ability to innovate and keep growing at such huge scale. To me, this is definitely a CEO of reference for me.
You said Glenn, Redfin CEO?
No, Glenn is the CEO of Booking.com.
Oh, Booking.com CEO. Got it. All right. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I sleep on average 5 hours a night.
That's crazy low. And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Divorced.
No kids?
2 kids. I have a 19-year-old daughter and a 21-year-old son.
2 kids.
Both in university.
That's great. And RJ, how old are you?
53.
53. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I wish my 20-year-old self knew how important the details were. Back then, I didn't pay much attention to details and just, like most kids my age, just sort of paid attention to what I wanted to. And what I see is everything is in the details, and that's something that I definitely pay more attention to now than I did back then.
Guys, details matter. Founded in 2008, ReviewPro now works with over 45,000 hotel locations, several hundred brands, doing about $15 million in run rate, or about $1.2 million per month. They're growing about 30% from 2017 to 2018. So call it, well, a little less than that, obviously, about a year ago. They've raised less than $5 million to grow this brand, and in 2016 sold 80% of it for about $28 million to another firm. RJ is staying on to continue growing the company, obviously incentivized with equity as well. Economics healthy, less than 10% revenue churn per year. His team of 110 people in Barcelona and remote, again, building up these 4 modules, probably have some additional ones on the way to continue driving more usage, more adoption, and more value for these hotel brands. RJ, thanks for taking us to the top.